tonight, a man in Shahajit is facing arson charges after multiple fires destroyed a home and several vehicles. That story. And
if it had to jump across the Northern Bay Brook into Northern Bay Sands and where I live here, I think the whole shore would have been wiped out.
The damage assessment begins as some Kingston wildfire evacuees return home and the fire rages on.
The government is starting to budge when it comes to the removal of trade barriers with other provinces. You'll soon be able to order your favorite booze, for example, from another jurisdiction and have it delivered straight to your door.
They can go directly to that winery and have something shipped into the province.
I'll have that story coming up.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. We begin tonight with evacuees heading home as some evacuation orders triggered by the Kingston wildfire are lifted. Some evacuees are returning to find destruction. Others are breathing a sigh of relief. Here and Now's Ryan Cook reports.
We're standing here at the barricade in Northern Bay where you can get a sense of the devastation of this fire, but also the randomness of it. On one side of the bridge, residents are back in their homes. On the other side, the firefight continues. You can see the charred trees and the helicopters here behind me. Those helicopters continued working throughout the day, dumping load after load on hot spots in warm weather and high winds. Meanwhile, residents on the other side of Northern Bay worked to get their houses back together. Thankful and gobsmacked the fire stopped where it did.
You can see the fire line. It's amazing. It's just right there. If it had to jump across the Northern Bay Brook into Northern Bay Sands and where I live here, I think the whole shore would have been wiped out.
On the south side of the Kingston fire, a similar story. The Newfoundland Jam and Pickle Factory is open in Perry's Cove after an all-out effort to protect the business.
The reason for saving this building is actually we just filled up the propane tanks. Now, if the fire got to the propane tanks, the building will be gone, the trees behind us will all be gone, burned, and the houses next to us would have burned, and then the fire would have been worse.
The Pickle Factory rewarded the Ontario firefighters who saved their building, giving each of them a jar of mustard pickles for the road, prompting a shout-out from the Premier.
It was very nice, Premier Hogan, to put that on Facebook so everybody could see, and the firemen enjoyed it. They loved it, actually.
For those who are back in their homes, the work now begins, from sifting through spoiled fridges to getting their wells tested for toxins. They fared better than many, but there's still an enduring trauma here.
I think it's life-changing for a lot of people. I think it's going to be hard on them.
Ryan Cook, CBC News, Northern Bay.
Evacuees at Carbonear Academy are relocating to the Splash Center in Harbour Grace. Now, the province says this change in location will take effect tomorrow. It coincides with students soon returning to regular classes at Carbonear Academy. Government says the new reception center will continue to provide all the same services to evacuees. Dry and windy conditions certainly didn't help firefighting efforts in Kingston over the weekend. Provincial Fire Duty Officer Jeff Motti says the size of the wildfire remains the same at just over 10,000 hectares, but dry, mossy vegetation has made some areas too smoky for ground crews this afternoon.
We switched gears just in the past couple hours where we really got we had 6 water bombers and a bird dog out on site. And things are very active in the caribou moss up in the high country to the western edge of that fire and to the southwestern edge of the fire. Now, in terms of what that means to values at risk, there's no immediate values at risk or threatened. So on that western edge, it's very much away from the community. So that's a good thing. But, you know, that fire is certainly being stubborn, and it's really dug into the country.
Now to Labrador, a 24-year-old man in Shahajit is facing multiple arson charges following a series of fires in the community last week. The RCMP are accusing the man of intentionally setting multiple fires, which damaged 5 structures and 6 vehicles. The man was arrested Friday and is now facing 8 charges, including assault with a weapon and arson. Police say the investigation is ongoing. And the provincial government is now removing trade and worker mobility barriers with other provinces. But as Terry Roberts reports, there are still plenty of lines in the sand in order to protect local jobs and products.
Borders will soon be coming down when it comes to the movement of alcoholic beverages in and out of this province. Well, sort of. These politicians announced today that Newfoundland and Labrador has signed an MOU with other provinces. By next spring, consumers will be able to order wine, beer, and spirits from producers in other provinces for personal use to be delivered to their doors. And brewers in this province will also be able to ship their products to customers across Canada.
Once we have operating agreements in place, then an individual in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador who has a favorite wine from British Columbia that they don't carry, for example, at the liquor store, they can go directly to that winery and have something shipped into the province.
Only a small number of people are expected to buy their booze this way. And to be clear, the strong import rules that protect our brewing industry and the jobs they support are not going anywhere. This tweak will not apply to sales by or to wholesalers, retailers, or other licensed establishments, meaning protections for the local brewing industry remain in place.
We don't anticipate, any impact. We don't anticipate any impact in the retail sector at all.
I think we heard loud and clear about protecting and being offside probably with some other provinces that they probably went a little bit too fast and taking down some barriers.
That, for example, is a line that we will draw.
Today's announcement was the latest move by the province in reaction to the ongoing trade war with the U.S. and a big push by Ottawa to eliminate interprovincial trade barriers in order to strengthen the Canadian economy. The province has enacted new rules to make it easier for skilled workers from other provinces to receive their accreditation in order to work in Newfoundland and Labrador. It's called the Fair Registration Practices Act, and it guarantees that labor mobility applications by professionals such as engineers and nurses will be processed within 20 days.
People don't want to wait 6 months or a year or 2 years to find out that their application, because they'll move on to an easier jurisdiction.
We are now good to go, having proclaimed the act. The regulations are up and running. This is operational today.
Business leaders liked what they heard.
Labor mobility is extremely important for our members. There are such many barriers of the movement of people across the country. So seeing this today and the tight timeline that government has put in it is very, very positive.
The province is also earmarking $5 million for a fund to help companies impacted by tariffs.
President Donald Trump does not always operate under a rules-based trade environment. So our $5 million announced today is to give assurance, to give comfort, and to give retraining opportunities and wage stability, job stability, to those who are impacted by the Trump tariffs.
The Premier says he's eager to be a good trading partner with other provinces, but he stresses that any changes to the trade rules will only be made if they're in the best interest of Newfoundlanders and Labradorians. Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, Premier Hogan is scheduled to meet with Quebec Premier François Legault, who will be visiting this province for a couple of days. Hogan says the April 2026 timeline to formalize a new Churchill Falls agreement is still on target.
This is it. I mean, this is the future for Newfoundland and Labrador. We're talking almost $250 billion. And certainly what I've heard from people is that they still they want to know what this money is going to be used for, and what they really want is the security for the future of Newfoundlanders and Labradorians. They don't want to see wasted opportunities like we've had on the last 2 Churchill deals. So it is the time to continue to talk about it as we work towards next year's definitive agreements. There's still some negotiating to do. We're in a good place with regards to those negotiations, but of course conversations have to continue to take place as we work towards those final agreements. But I've said it before and I'll say it again, we've had 2 strikes on this amazing resource, world-class resource here in Newfoundland and Labrador. We can't afford a 3rd strike. And again, this is not about next month or next year or budget 2026. This is about generations and generations of Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, and what we can, the benefit we can receive from developing this properly and fairly with our neighbors in Quebec, and I look forward to having those conversations with the Premier.
Well, plans to create hundreds of new childcare spaces in this province were announced today. Education Minister Bernard Davis says more than 24 projects have been approved to develop more affordable spaces. Davis says there are currently more than 11,200 early learning and childcare spaces operating at $10 a day or less in the province.
The 25 projects announced today will create 574 new, high-quality, inclusive childcare spaces. That brings the total number of childcare spaces in development through our province to a staggering 1,657 as of today.
Well, it's one small rocket for Canada and one big leap for the town of St. Lawrence. People on the Burin Peninsula are getting ready for the first rocket launch from the new Spaceport. There was hope it might launch this morning, but weather is not cooperating. Peter Cowan is live tonight from St. Lawrence. So, Peter, first of all, can you tell us a bit more about this rocket?
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
I can more than tell you, Carolyn. We can show you here because this is the Tiger rocket that's on the launch pad here, built by Nordspace. It's an Ontario company, and their goal is to set a Canadian first, the first rocket to be designed, built, and then hopefully this week launched from Canada. Because right now, if you have a satellite that you want to launch into space, you need to rely on an American company, for example, in order to do it. And the hope is to try and build that Canadian capability and build it right here in St. Lawrence. The problem, of course, is weather. Today was just a little too windy, but with any first, there are always expectations of delays, and the CEO of Nordspace says they were prepared for it.
You know, if we launched any time in the last month, pretty much every day was perfect. And we launched this weekend or anytime next week, it's also looking really good. So we unfortunately, and mainly because of the hurricane, ended up with a particularly challenging week. But again, nothing that we're not prepared for. St. Lawrence is a great site, and wind is really only one factor out of at least 20 that we considered when choosing a launch site. Would we like it to be zero winds all the time? Sure, but that's not the only thing that matters either.
And Peter, what makes St. Lawrence such a great site? Out of all of the potential sites in Canada, why did they pick St. Lawrence?
This is a question that a lot of people here in town have been asking, and they got a chance actually yesterday to come out here to the site. There were about 100 people that got to see the rocket close up. Lots of curiosity, including one guy who lives nearby. He figured he'd probably have to go to Cape Canaveral if he ever wanted to see a rocket launch. He wasn't expecting one in his backyard, and it's definitely built some excitement.
I've always been, I guess, fascinated with space and rockets and, you know, some science fiction, but this is not. So yeah, it was pretty cool for this area. I just live back in Loomis Cove there, so yeah, I'm just excited to see this when it actually goes up.
It was only about a year ago that Nordspace actually approached the town of St. Lawrence about building this facility here, so they've moved pretty quickly. The reason they like this site is because it's right on the ocean, it's away from the community, and they're able to launch out over the ocean. It makes it safer, but they're also able to launch at lots of different angles to be able to build that those satellites up and position them right into the correct spot. And the other big factor was the support they got from the province, from the community, and the mayor says he's really hopeful that this brings a new opportunity for a community where there's a lot of old people and they're looking for something that will keep young people here.
It's something that will create enthusiasm. It'll build people's spirits up, so it's got more than just the job potential and more than the tourism. It's got something that gives your town life again. You know, when you're becoming a senior community, you're basically waiting, eventually your town's going to die, right? But this is something that builds people's spirit up again and hopefully brings the town back.
There's lots of rain in the forecast tomorrow, so fingers crossed that everything goes well for Wednesday. Reporting live from St. Lawrence, I'm Peter Cowan for Here and Now.
That's right. There is lots of rain in the forecast. Rainfall warnings in place from Burgeo through to the Canaveral Peninsula, and then a special weather statement in effect for the Burin Peninsula as well as the southern Avalon. The rain is expected to move in as we head through the night tonight. We will see some rain up across Labrador as well, but it's all thanks to this system. There is a lot of moisture with this. That's going to keep rain in the forecast through the day tomorrow, even some humid weather as well. That will continue at least for the next day or so. I'll break it all down for you coming up.
Happy Valley Goose Bay will soon have 32 new seniors housing units, and the Housing and Homelessness Coalition there says even more work needs to be done. The CBC's Reagan Burden has more.
In 3 months, seniors will be moving into these new apartments in Happy Valley Goose Bay, paying only $700 a month in rent. Construction started last July when the Housing and Homelessness Coalition got their funding, and for the seniors moving in, it's a dream come true.
I cried. I was happy. Where I'm living right now, I have to deal with stairs every day, and I do have mobility problems, so this is a big help for me.
And Pitt's reaction was not unique.
The excitement, the appreciation. They were so grateful
the reactions, you know, crying, laughing, just so appreciative over and over, thanking, you know, our coalition team. And, you know, that's what makes you feel good at the end of the day.
But while folks are celebrating these builds, the community needs far more than just these 31 apartments.
I can tell you this, if we built 200 apartments tomorrow, we could fill them.
Like I said, I would like to see more units go up because they will fill. There's no doubt about it.
I'm still daily getting applications from people because this is now caught on, and people are so pleased with what they see here.
One of those seniors with an application in is Debbie Michelin.
I'm currently couch surfing, as the young people call it, but I'm living with my 87-year-old mom, have a room in her house. And affordability, you know, I'm going to be 65 in July, and I can't afford, you know, the prices of rent at 65 years of age. That's all I can say. I'm so happy that, you know, this has started, and I hope that it continues, because seniors are, you know, we're the forgotten people. As we age, we seem to get left behind sometimes, and we need to be remembered.
The new apartments offer more than just affordable rent. There's also access to walking trails, a greenhouse, a healing garden, and more. And the coalition says they're not done yet. They have applied for 40 more units and a 20-unit personal care home.
The government should be all over this right now. It's a win-win for the, you know, for the government, for the community, for the seniors, for the coalition.
With many seniors on the waiting list for apartments that haven't even had their funding approved yet, the coalition has some very busy times ahead. Reagan Burden, CBC News, Happy Valley Goose Bay.
Well, it's been 50 years since the very first screech-in happened in downtown St. John's, but as the CBC's Peter Cowan discovered, not everyone thinks it's the best way to highlight Newfoundland and Labrador culture.
Hey, hear ye, hear ye. Let's bring the Royal Order of Screeches to order.
Visitors from all over the world have packed this St. John's bar for one thing, to become honorary Newfoundlanders.
I need you all to pucker up and give this fish just a little kiss.
Kissing a cod is just one part. You need to eat some traditional food like this bologna, master a Newfoundland tongue twister, and of course, take a shot of screech.
I want to blow their mind. I want people to say that that was the best cultural experience that I've ever had in my entire life.
The ceremony is celebrating its 50th anniversary. The first screech-in was done at a bar in St. John's in July 1975, a way to bring in tourists. Now it's big business. Each of these screechers are paying more than $40.
We'll rant and we'll roar like true Newfoundlanders.
But some Newfoundlanders cringe at a ceremony built on Newfoundland stereotypes. Sean McCann was an ambassador of Newfoundland culture with the band Great Big Sea. He refuses to screech people in.
We don't need to rely on something that turns our culture into a cartoon. And that's how I've always felt about it, honestly. I mean, I saw it as, you know, a gimmick to sell cheap booze to tourists.
In 1990, then Premier Clyde Wells hated the screech-in so much, he ordered the Provincial Liquor Corporation to destroy the certificates they issued bearing his signature.
There are good screech-ins and there are bad screech-ins. I think a good screech-in is welcoming, which it's supposed to be. Like, it is a rite of passage, tongue-in-cheek rite of passage.
And these newly minted honorary Newfoundlanders felt that welcome.
In this world today, there's, you know, traditions are far and few between, especially in Canada. You know, and I think the screeching ceremony is something really beautiful that needs to be, like, preserved.
And as long as the tourists keep coming, this bar will keep a frozen cod ready for them to kiss. Peter Cowan, CBC News, St. John's.
Don't worry, I'll get it.
Actually, I was speaking with the Provincial Fire Duty Officer earlier, Jeff Mahdi, and he was saying that they were getting inundated with phone calls from people on the West Coast about all of the smoke, but it's not smoke from in the province.
No, and it feels like it is because it's so low to the ground. And typically when you see smoke reducing air quality like this, like those of you on the south coast and the west coast of the province today, or the island rather, it certainly feels like it's close. But no, this is from a fire that is burning now in Nova Scotia with the way the winds are bringing kind of some of the smoke, settling it near the surface. So John shared this photo with me. This is a view of Deer Lake. Definitely looks like there's smoke nearby, but you can see here I've kind of highlighted it there in the orange, the smoke. It's basically going to continue to lift north as we head through the night tonight. But those special air quality statements are still in effect for the northern peninsula, Green Bay, White Bay, and then out towards the coast. But like I said, I do anticipate that these will end as we head through the overnight. But there's the fire there in Nova Scotia. That's where that smoke is coming from. But it will continue to push, lift north essentially as we head through the night tonight. But expecting as we head through the day tomorrow and into Wednesday, early Wednesday morning, the smoke plume will likely move back in, and at this point looks like eastern areas of the island may see some of the smoke from that fire. So certainly keep that in mind as we head towards the next couple of days. For now, rain and lots of it affecting parts of Nova Scotia because of an area of low pressure, and that is going to tap in, already is tapping into some tropical moisture along this cold front here, and lots of moisture will be directed towards the province as we head through tonight and into the first part of tomorrow. As you can see, we start to get into those reds and oranges. That is quite a bit of moisture. So as we head through the overnight tonight, we'll start to see that along southern areas of the island, and then by tomorrow morning, and then eastern portions of the island, particularly the Avalon, we'll see that as we head into tomorrow afternoon. That will move off by the time we get into Wednesday morning. So Environment Canada does have a couple of warnings in place, rainfall warning from Burgeo through to the Canagra Peninsula. Right now, special weather statement for the Burin Peninsula and southern Avalon. This will be where the majority of the rain will fall as we head through the overnight tonight. But this southerly flow is certainly bringing some much milder weather than we have been, because we've been dealing with northerly winds, which has been keeping those temperatures cool. Today, back up into more summer-like weather, middle to upper 20s today for a good chunk of the island. Very different, though, up across Labrador, of course, towards the coast, only seeing 9s across the board there. But it is a little humid as well, and as we head through tonight and into tomorrow with that southerly flow and this moisture moving in, it's actually going to feel quite humid tomorrow, especially into the afternoon, but that will quickly drop off as we get towards the weekend, or the end of the week, really. So rain will move in tonight. We'll see that towards the early morning hours along the south coast. Like with all that tropical moisture, you can expect some of these showers to be very heavy at times as we head into the morning hours. This is great news for the fires, though. Hopefully we will see a good soaking across the Avalon as we head into the afternoon as well. Eventually this will taper to showers along the south coast, and then taper to showers again for the Avalon as we head into the afternoon. But up across Labrador, still going to be dealing with the potential for some thunderstorms to tomorrow, and then eastern areas of the island as well. You may see or hear a few rumbles of thunder by the time the afternoon rolls through as well. Temperature-wise, tomorrow, like I said, temperatures will be in the 20s. Humidex values likely closer to the upper 20s, with those southerly winds quite gusty, anywhere from about 50 to maybe even 60 kilometers per hour tomorrow. So it is not going to be a very nice day. It'll be warm, but it won't be a very nice day. But certainly not complaining about the rain. Labrador, you're looking at temperatures in the upper teens, low 20s as well, along with some gusty winds through the afternoon. I'll break down your long-range forecast coming up a little later.
Memorial University has a lot of challenges, and now there's a new leader at the helm. Janet Morrison took over as the new president of Memorial University earlier this month, and she joins me now. So as I mentioned, Memorial University does have a lot of challenges right now. Of course, there's a major deficit. Some cuts were just made before you took over, $20.8 million in cuts. Student enrollment is down. We're told staff morale is quite low. There are issues with the infrastructure at MUN, so there's a lot happening here, a lot of problems. And with all of that in mind, why do you want this job?
Oh, what a great question. I've worked in the post-secondary sector for a long time, and I have built my career around fostering student success. It's what I think about, it's what I organize towards, it's what I research. Always, as I was a graduate student and building my own career, Memorial was held up as a place truly grounded in people and place, where belonging mattered. And there was a lot of research coming out of the university around how you can pull people to a learning community to fuel and encourage deep learning. And I believe that. So I was tremendously excited about the opportunity. I'm really excited to be here. There is no doubt there are a lot of pressures in front of us. There are pressures facing every university, certainly across Canada, and I would argue globally. But I see tremendous possibility here.
How do you balance fostering the success of students with the financial challenges?
A university must be both vibrant and it must be viable. And so in the context of being viable, Memorial is and needs to remain a comprehensive university that meets not just the needs but also the wants of students. I think the key in all of that is putting students, their learning, both undergraduate and graduate students, at the center of our decision making. But we also have to be viable. And so moving Memorial to stronger financial footing has to be our priority.
On the heels of these cuts, a new leader coming in, a lot of students and staff will be wondering, what's going to be happening next. And you were at Sheridan College just before here. Last year, there were a lot of cuts there. 40 programs were suspended to try to save some money. So what would you say to the students and staff who are wondering what's next? Like, can they expect more cuts to come?
My number one priority is to be collaborative. There is no doubt all across this country, universities are facing innumerable pressures. We are facing just unprecedented disruption, economic, social, technological. We are also dealing with decreased revenue, largely because of enrollment, as you noted, but also in conjunction with that, government decision making and also changes in federal policy. Like everybody else around kitchen tables and in communities, we're also dealing with cost pressures. Inflation, the affordability crisis that's hitting families and homes is hitting the university too. So that combination of influences kind of has left us in a spot where we need to make tough decisions. Those are coming for sure. My commitment is to do that in a way that is collaborative, as transparent as possible. We're moving to a new budget model that should help inform decisions and build trust about how we earn money and how we spend money, but to also do that in a way that always puts the student and their learning, their experience at the center of our decisions.
When will those tough decisions be made? When can people expect to hear about some of the measures that will be put in place to try to counterbalance some of these financial pressures?
Well, we've made a commitment to cut $20.8 million. That is ongoing, and it's been very difficult for the community. That work has to continue.
Were you part of that decision? Because you hadn't started the job yet when that came through, but were you consulted?
Absolutely. Dr. Lokash consulted throughout, and I had the opportunity to be here and to meet with student leaders, for example, before I even started. Again, very difficult decisions that impact people. We often talk about these things in budget terms or in spend terms, but these decisions impact people, and I don't think that's lost on anybody. Very difficult. The reality is we must put Memorial on stronger financial, stable terms. That process has already begun. We are, as I said, moving to a new budget model that will better help us understand where we generate revenue and how we spend it, because how you spend revenue is really about your priorities. And in an incremental budget model, you continue to fund everything consistently without necessarily accounting for what matters most. And what matters most has to be safeguarded and protected. And so that's my commitment going forward.
One of the criticisms, I think in particular from Memorial University Student Union about spending is the reinstatement of the vice president position and the timing of that, considering the cuts. You know, is that where Memorial University should be spending its money as opposed to some of the other programs? What would your response be to that criticism?
What I have heard is an expectation that we review the entire senior administrative structure. And I've done that very publicly. I've made a commitment to review that within the first 6 months of my tenure. I will absolutely deliver on that commitment to the community. But I have heard support and generally consensus for the fact that in this moment of urgency, where ensuring our financial health and sustainability is paramount, having dedicated leadership in that space matters and is, in fact, a priority. And so that's what we've done.
Well, Janet Morrison, I really appreciate your time. I'm sure a lot of the students and staff are listening very closely to all that you have to say today and are wondering, you know, about those tough decisions to come. We'll just have to wait and see. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I hope we'll talk again.
A 24-year-old man has been charged with careless use of a firearm after multiple shots were fired at a residence in Aspen Cove. On Friday afternoon, Gander RCMP responded to the scene and took 2 men into custody. A gun was seized at the property, and police also identified parts of a home damaged by bullets. However, no injuries were reported. Of the 2 men, one was released. The investigation is continuing with additional charges possible. And in other news, it seems history is being uncovered on the west coast of the island. Thousands of logs have appeared along the Humber River and Deer Lake Beach. The CBC's Amy Fian explains.
I'm standing here at Deer Lake Beach next to hundreds and hundreds of logs. Now, these logs have actually been here for decades. They're from a time when the Corner Brook Pulp and Paper Mill used to transport its wood via the Humber River. And now, thanks to low water levels, these pieces have come to the surface, and the town of Deer Lake is cleaning them up.
We have 2 pieces of equipment that we're able to use here to help get out into the areas where there is no water right now, where the water's receded, and in the sandy areas, we're able to collect some of the pulpwood logs.
This cleanup work is nothing new for the town's staff. Every year, they remove logs to keep the beach clean and the water safe to swim in. The water levels here are usually high in the spring, and once they recede in the summer, the wood and other debris are left behind. This is the second cleanup this summer because the water levels are unusually low.
I think it's been a combination. We have had a dry summer here. We know that the powerhouse here in the area does control some of the water. So they've been holding back some of the water, which is kind of amplified what's happened. But it has been a dry summer overall.
With the Deer Lake Power Plant and the Corner Brook Pulp and Paper Mill in shutdown mode this week due to the fire risks, no water is flowing here at Deer Lake. Normally, people would be swimming on a day like this. Instead, they're getting a real glimpse into the past, when wood used to be floated down the Humber to the paper-making plant.
I mean, this really, it outdates Deer Lake. I mean, we're looking at the 100-year anniversary of all this infrastructure was in place. Deer Lake's only been around for 75 of those years. So it's been something that I believe it was 1984, reports I've seen, is probably the last time they've actually moved wood through this area. But to this day, you'll still see that some of these operations, there's some remnants that are left here.
And it's not just here in Deer Lake. All along the Humber River, there are thousands of logs. For half a century, wood floated down the river, and over time, so many of them became waterlogged and sank to the bottom. So, there's no telling how old some of these pieces could be. Amy Fian, CBC News, Deer Lake.
Wow. Well, the Canada Games came to a close over the weekend. The 2-week event brought thousands of athletes and tourists to St. John's, and on Sunday it all came to an end with the closing ceremony.
What are you at? The 2025 Canada Games brought us so many unforgettable moments. Ce soir, on célèbre.
It's been amazing to be able to meet everybody from all these different provinces and compete with the best athletes in the country. I'm really grateful for it all.
I think it was a great experience, being in a village with other sports. It's a great step in going into future competitions, and I think it's definitely a one-of-a-kind experience. I'm so happy I got to enjoy it, especially here in Newfoundland.
It's crazy, to get through the conditions like yesterday. I mean, we're in the middle of August and it was 2 degrees and we had hurricane winds. Without the support of the teammates and just support and the energy of the entire stadium, I really don't know if I could have done it. So
looking back, I'm just going to be proud of myself, proud of my teammates, of what we were able to accomplish and just how much fun we've had, the memories we've made.
What did you like the most about St. John's?
Playing volleyball.
Feeling great, honestly. This is a great group of people here. I know that Mary Brown Center is going to be electric when we walk in there, so I'm really honored to just lead the charge. How are you going to look back on this Canada Games experience, Maya?
very fondly. Everyone was super supportive, had some interesting weather to work through, but it was all in a day's work and it was really awesome.
I don't know if any commentary is necessary for me, judging by the roar of the crowd. It says it all. This Newfoundland and Labrador, the home province team, at these 2025 Canada Summer Games, led by Gavin Baggs.
Couldn't think of anybody that would be more fitting than Gavin Baggs to lead us into the Mary Brown Centre tonight, to be able to not only perform and medal, but 2 sports across 2 weeks. I mean, it's a very tiring week of competition, and then for him to have to do that and then come back and do it all over again and be at the top of his sport in both weeks, it's just, he's a phenomenal young man, and so we're just so very proud of him and couldn't be happier for him.
Good evening, outstanding Canada Games athletes. Bonsoir aux formidables athlètes des Jeux du Canada. Dungasuwitsi ilunnasi unnusak.
I've had some very emotional moments today, and you know, at the Games there's a real family from every province and territory, and we have friends and family from across this country, and everyone comes together. And we saw in week 1 with the wildfires, and you call on any of those provincial territorial teams and they were there to help and step in, and I just think that that's due to what sport does to unite people.
Here in Newfoundland and Labrador, we have been welcomed with passion and with warmth, and you have shown us what it means to come together from coast to coast to coast as one Canada.
You know, at the end of the Games, I'm just very proud of our contingent and what our athletes did. I think that they put it all out there. We've always said to them, do your best, nothing less, and I really do think that they did perform at their best in these Games.
The Canada Games flag begins its journey from St. John's to Quebec City as we officially pass along the honor of hosting the Games.
It's certainly emotional because it is like the culmination of everything you've achieved. The closing ceremony, it's a celebration of everything that's happened over the last couple of weeks. And then, of course, there's a lot of happiness, but then there's the sadness of actually having to say goodbye and being at the end of this journey, and then the uncertainty of not knowing where it's going to take you next.
It is with heartfelt pride that I declare the 2025 Canada Games in St. John's officially closed.
Wow. Well, the mayor of St. John's says the Games were a success. Danny Breen is hopeful that this is just the beginning of a boom in sports-related tourism.
And now we have the facilities to open ourselves to even more national and international events. We now have a track that can accommodate national and international competition. Not only good for the athletes who are training and their ability to improve and to excel, but also to attract competitions here. And you take other ones that really we weren't doing before, like the Criterion cycling race downtown. I think there's an opportunity there to have more of those types of events here in the city. So again, we have taken what we did very well and we brought it to another level, and that's hosting competitions, showing our the great arts and culture that we have in this city, and exposing St. John's even further on the national and international stage, which will bode well for increased tourism in the future.
And in other news, a couple of closures on the highways on the Avalon Peninsula to tell you about. The exit ramp connecting the eastbound portion of the Trans-Canada Highway to the Veterans Memorial Highway and Roach's Line is closed. That's in order to repair the bridge. During the closure, drivers are advised to use the Brigus Junction interchange. And there's also a temporary closure of the on-ramp between Commonwealth Avenue and Pitts Memorial Drive. As part of the final phase of the Team Guzhou Highway, a new roundabout is being built at this location. The ramp is set to reopen next week. All right, time for a look at the long-range forecast. And how are things looking over the week?
Well, they're looking a little wet, especially as we head through the day tomorrow. I didn't get a chance to show you the rainfall forecast, but let's take a look at that right now. The rainfall forecast as we head through Wednesday morning is mainly for the southern parts of the island. You're looking at anywhere from 30 to as much as 50 millimeters of rain by the time we get into Wednesday morning. Now, a little bit further north and east, depending on where we see the heaviest rain, we could see somewhere between 20 to maybe as much as 30 millimeters of rain in that time frame. Now, for the north, the coast rather of Labrador, you're also looking at your amount somewhere between 30 to as much as 50 millimeters of rain in that time frame as well. But there is a risk you'll see some thunderstorms with this one through the day. Now, taking a look at what's going to happen as we head into Tuesday evening and then into Wednesday, we will see most of that rain for the coast of Labrador move offshore. But that is when you will see the most rain in that time frame for Makkovik, where you are currently under a rainfall warning. Other than that, Wednesday will be generally cloudy, with a few sunny peaks into the morning hours for at least parts of the province, parts of the island rather, and then we'll see some more cloud cover move in. But we'll see a drop in that humidity from what you would have been seeing on Tuesday. But overall, daytime highs will still be in the 20s, teens for the north coast, the northern peninsula rather, and then for Labrador, anywhere from 8 to about 15 degrees will be the daytime highs for you on your Wednesday. And then as we look ahead to Thursday, again, unsettled weather, generally looking at this chance of showers for most of the island, up across Labrador for the western portions anyway. You'll see some shower activity through the day, and then eventually you'll see some clearing. But daytime highs will sit in the upper teens, low 20s. For most northern peninsula, you'll still hang on to temperatures only around 12 to 14 degrees, and then for Labrador, anywhere from 9 to 16 will be the daytime highs as well. As we look ahead to the long-range forecast, overall, the daytime highs will sit somewhere between 17 to 19 degrees through the day, and we are looking at rain potential for those of you on Saturday, at least for St. John's and Eastern Newfoundland. And our overnight lows will be somewhere between 13 to as much as 14 degrees. So, you know, back to much warmer air than we've been seeing, especially in that northerly flow. And then for central Newfoundland, overall, our daytime highs are in the 20s until we get to about Saturday, and then that's when we'll see a little bit of a drop. But it will be unsettled Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Same thing for western Newfoundland, although a little bit more sunshine will be in play through the day, and then up across Labrador. Overall, temperatures in the teens and 20s through the weekend. We're looking at a little bit of peaks of sun in the mix, but unsettled, a lot more cloud cover for those of you in the west, where your daytime highs will sit between 13 to 16 degrees and overnight lows will be in the single digits. Taking a look at our weather photo today, great photo in Buren. Now, this was taken, I think, yesterday, he said. This is a rainbow cloud over the Buren there, isn't it?
Oh, okay, so in the clouds, they're kind of almost in the middle of the screen. You can see just the colors there, but it's not a full rainbow. You can only see it.
That's right. And it's because basically, you know, normal rainbow, we would see the sun going through little tiny water droplets, which is why we see the rainbow. But in this case, it's the ice droplet or the ice crystals in the cloud. Isn't that neat?
Very neat. Yeah. I don't know that I've seen a cloud rainbow before.
Yeah, very cool. Thanks, Lem, for that. If you have any weather photos, you can share them to us at nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Wow. And amazing, just to go back to that smoke on the west coast coming up from Nova Scotia. Just amazing how smoky it is out there.
That's right, yeah. Things have already improved, just heading north now, and it should, we'll see varying levels of smoke over the next little bit.
And great that we're getting some rain.
Yeah.
Wonderful news. All right, well, thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us. Hope you can join us again tomorrow.
Good night.